I'm so sad. Hello everyone and welcome to the 34th episode of the Blind Pinterest Challenge. The series where I recreate various crafts and DIY projects from Pinterest without any instructions because I like to live life on the edge. I'm a daredevil. I'm a risk taker.
Is he dead?
Okay, so the first one I want to try are these super cute little snails with a marble as the shell. I obviously think these are going to be super easy to make, and I don't think they're going to cost a lot, but I just think they're like a nice little cute decoration. And if you're not good at keeping animals or pets alive, then this could be the perfect option, because it'll never die. It's not alive in the first place. I also think I'll give this one a go. So it's upcycling some old vinyl records into like a wine rack. And I think this will be relatively easy to do. I think you just need to kind of heat up the vinyls and then bend them into place. But as we all know with this series, anything and everything can go wrong. So it might not be that straightforward. I'm kind of fancying a resin project as well. And I think this looks really fun and really cool. I assume it's like a little table, like a little coffee table, but potentially upcycling some sort of basket. I don't know what they've actually bought to do this, but I know it's resin. I 100% know they've done resin and a metal basket of some sort. This one could trip me up if I don't get the right stuff, and mine won't look exactly like theirs because resin is completely unpredictable, especially when you're doing a technique like that, but I think I can get some similar effects. And my final one are these little upcycled jars for the bathroom, and the only reason I'm doing this is because I actually need some bathroom storage, and I think these will be really fun, and I'm not going to half-ass it.
Well, that makes a change.
Because I actually want these to use them. I think they'll look really nice in my bathroom. And I think it's a really fun idea, actually. I think it's quite quirky, quite different, but it's also got like an air of sophistication about it. Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna try it. So I think that's all the crafts I want to try in today's episode. I'll obviously need a few weeks to get everything together and figure things out. But I'll meet you back here and we can see if I make any mistakes. And if I do make mistakes, how many mistakes I'm gonna make. I hope it's not a lot. Okay, I'm finally back. And I think we'll start off with the little marble snails first. So I decided I would make the body of these snails out of air drying clay. So I've already got some air drying clay in the studio and started to get that out of the tub and realized that the air drying clay that I already have is actually already set and it's completely unusable, even knowing it was sealed in plastic tubs. So that was a complete waste of time. So I put that down and decided to buy some more. A few days later, a new batch of air drying clay entered the studio and I could finally sculpt the body of this snail. Once I was happy with that, I popped a little bit of super glue on the top of this snail and then adhered the marble to the surface of the clay. For the little antenna parts, I thought I would actually use a paper clip. I thought that would be quite interesting. So I just unraveled the paper clip, chopped it in half, and then I decided I would use a pair of pliers and just kind of curl the end of this cut paper clip just to give it a bit of extra detail. And I actually think that looks really fun and better than the original. I then just popped some super glue on them, secured them into place, and then put that to one side to let it set. So we have expectation and reality, and I made 3 of them. I made a little blue one, which I think is adorable. I also made a little cute green one, and then I thought it'd be fun and do like a little yellow one, and I think they're super cute. I would say mine are a little bit out of proportion to the original. There's a way more in scale because the marbles are a lot bigger compared to the bodies, whereas my marbles are a lot smaller. But I still think I've done a really good job, and they're super cute. Now these would have cost us only 1 marble, but because I ended up having to buy more air drying clay because my other air drying clay dried up, how dare it?
How dare you?
These probably cost us about £1 to make, so they're not that expensive, quite cheap actually. And yeah, I think it's just a cute little object to have. I'm very pleased with my new pets.
Well, I think you're a bit sad.
So I think we'll move on to the resin table next. And for this I bought a wire basket table which had this tabletop on it. So I've taken that off, obviously ready to use the resin. And I think this will work fine. I then just applied a thin layer of white epoxy resin. And then usually at this point when I'm doing resin projects, especially with alcohol ink, I would just blob the alcohol ink on top of it and kind of call it a day. But this time I wanted to be a little bit more kind of strategic about it. So instead of adding just neat alcohol ink, I decided to add some coloured resin in green, orange, blue, and kind of like a purpley pink colour, and then blasted that with my heat gun to mix all the colours up. And I thought that was looking quite good how it is, but it doesn't look like the original because in the original they've definitely used straight alcohol ink. So I had no other option than to add a bunch of other neat alcohol inks to the surface of this coloured resin all over the place, go crazy with it, and then blast it with the heat gun again and finally let that resin set. So now I've got the wire base for the table, my resin tabletop, pop that on there, and done. So we have expectation and reality. And I think mine looks quite cool. It doesn't look exactly the same as the original, and I realise why. I think what they've done, their tabletop has been a completely flat shape, whereas mine, it's got like a ridge. So what they've done is they've essentially had the flat tabletop and then let the resin pour off the edges of it. And I haven't done that. Mine's all contained in the centre. I still think mine looks really cool. And I think that's like a nice little table for somewhere. I don't know where the hell I'm going to put it, but it looks very nice. And I have a feeling this cost me a lot of money to make. Okay, so this cost me about £40 to make, which I think is very expensive for what it is. I definitely think I could get this cheaper if I shopped around for this metal basket table thing, but I didn't have time. But whenever you're using resin, it's always going to be pretty expensive. Resin isn't cheap. Resin isn't cheap at all. It's so expensive. But it's not too bad, and I'm glad I have it. I just don't know where I'm going to put it. Does anyone want a resin table? You can have it. Well, actually it'll probably cost a fortune to ship. Don't particularly want to spend any more money, but if someone wants to come round mine and take this off us, they can have a resin table. I don't mind. Because I don't want it. I've got no space. I might put it in my bathroom. The thing is, the bathroom's starting to get overtaken by stuff now, and that's not a good sign, is it? Okay, so now I thought we'd move on to the vinyl record wine rack, which I haven't even started yet. So I've got some records here. They're by Shakin' Stevens. I love you, baby. And I'm very sorry if you're a Shakin' Stevens fan, but I'm about to ruin these records. Also, the price of these, they were $1.99 on here. They cost me way more money online. Again, I didn't have time to shop around, so I just had to buy what I could get. Right, let's get these out. I've never even heard of Shakin' Stevens. I've never ever, like, played a vinyl record or anything like that. I don't actually even think I've seen one in person. They're surprisingly flimsy. I thought they were a lot harder than this. That's like a proper thin bit of plastic. Also, it's weird how they get music on them, isn't it? Like, how does this play music when you put, like, a needle on it? I know the lines have something to do with it, but just sorcery. Shakin' Stevens and the Sunsets. Let me know down in the comments if you're a Shakin' Stevens fan. He's obviously done a lot of albums though. So, how am I gonna do this? I need a wine bottle. Fortunately, I have plenty.
I'm not surprised at all.
Okay, so I'm thinking if we blast the vinyl with a bit of heat, I should be able to mold this and bend it upwards. I hope. If this doesn't work, I've got no other option. I don't know how to do it, so this needs to work. It's a bit too further down, so it needs to go a bit higher. Okay, I think that'll hold a wine bottle. Oh yeah, it will. Yeah. This is surprisingly trickier than I thought it was going to be, but that holds a wine bottle, so we're getting there. It doesn't look as neat as theirs. Right, one done, another 4 to go. Okay, I finally got them all bent into shape. It took way longer than I thought it was going to take. And I think I could have been a bit neater, but never mind. Now, looking at their original picture, I don't understand how they got theirs connected together. And if they used glue, there is no glue on planet Earth I would trust to support such heavy cargo as wine. So I'm not going to be gluing mine together. No, not trusting my wine with glue.
Marvin Claus. Marvin Claus.
So I thought I would use some nuts and bolts to secure these into place. But again, I'm not sure whether this is the correct thing to do because I can't see what they've actually used. How far is theirs apart? About there. Right, give us a spare bit of wood because I'll drill through my table. And then just drill a hole here, I think. As you can tell, I'm not confident about my decisions, but never mind. Then, if I just thread that through, attach a little bolt at the back. I think this is the best way to do it. If someone else has any other suggestions or ideas for either securing them together or bending them in place, feel free to let us know down in the comments. But this is just where my brain's gone. Yeah, and then they're nice and secure. They're not going anywhere. I can trust my wine on that, I think. But I don't trust myself with anything, but that's fine. Now I need to do all the others. Also, I don't know whether you can notice, have you seen the state of my neck? I started using fake tan, like a build-up fake tan, and it's gone so patchy. So I'm just trying to like figure it out. I just wanted a bit of colour. Because like in summer, I like to sit out in the sun and catch the sun, and I tan really, really nice. But I'm trying to protect my skin. So I thought I would go for a fake tan, and it's just It's gone so patchy. And I don't want to get like a full-on spray tan because I know for a fact it'll be a Ross situation.
Damn
it!
I know it'll happen to us. So I'm just trying to figure out this build-up fake tan. But if I look a bit patchy at the minute, bear with us. And also, if I ever turn orange, you have to let us know because I'll be completely oblivious. I'll be walking around looking oranges out and I won't have a clue. So be on the lookout. If I look orange, tell us off. Obviously, don't tell us off about the patches because I already know about the patches. Okay, I think I'm finally done. So we have expectation and reality. I think I've done a pretty decent job and it is very secure. So like, I can easily put my wine bottles on here. Oh bollocks. What's happened there? Squeeze in. There we go. Once it's hung on a wall, it'll be a lot more secure, but it can hold the weight. Obviously they're empty. I don't think this is a very good idea though. I think this is actually quite dangerous. If all these bottles were full to the brim of wine, I feel like this will all fall apart. I think it's aesthetically pleasing and it's a very nice thing to look at and it'll look very good in certain rooms and certain environments. But as a wine rack, I do not think it is very safe. I don't trust it at all. But it's not too bad and I think mine looks similar to the original, but theirs looks way neater. And also on mine, you've got really long bits of bolts hanging off the back of it, but I can't see the back of theirs. I don't know what theirs looks like. I'm just wondering, you know, on the original, whether they've actually just like secured theirs to a wall and not hung it together like I've done. I think they might have done that, you know, now that I'm looking at it. I don't think theirs is all in one kind of stringy piece. I think they've individually tacked each record to the wall and that'll be way more secure. Yeah, I suppose that's right. Don't do it like this and just have it hanging on your wall, wriggling about. But how much did this wine rack cost us? It cost me just over £30 to make this because the records were so expensive. Shaky Stevens, if you're still alive, I hope you're rich. 30 quid. Okay, moving on to the final craft project of today's episode, and that's of course the little upcycled jar things. So this one was a super easy one to do. I just bought 3 lovely glass jars online. I also got some little plastic animals. So I went for a gorilla, a giraffe, and a lovely elephant. And then just super glued each one of these to the lids of the jars. And although the lids were already copper, I decided to spray paint not only the animals, but the lids too in a different copper coloured spray paint, just so that everything would match. And then once they were fully covered, just left them to dry. And that's basically it. Piss easy. So we have expectation and reality. I've just realised I've went for a copper top instead of a gold top. I didn't realise they went for gold. I thought they went for copper, but I've gone for copper for some reason. So I've got my lovely gorilla one with some little cotton pads that I use on a night time and on a morning. How fun. I've got my elephant one with some earbuds to clean my ears. Gorgeous. And my third one is the giraffe one, which these aren't little mini condoms, by the way. These are actually denture cleaning tablets. Not because I have dentures, these are my real teeth, but because I use a mouth guard on a night and this kind of sterilizes the mouth guard. That's how sad I am. I need a jar for denture cleaning tablets. Other people would have like gold encrusted bath bombs in their upcycled lovely jar. No, I have denture tablets. I'm proper sad. Sometimes I don't realize like how sad I am until I say something out loud and I'm like, oh yeah, there it is. I'm so sad. But I'm fine about it. I don't care what people think. But how much did they cost? I don't think it cost us that much money. I think the jars were the most expensive thing. So I think each one of these upcycled jars probably cost me about £9, £9.50. Not too expensive. And I think they look really good. And I actually needed these. So I'm very happy I've made something that I'm actually going to use. Unlike everything else that I've made today, which I'm never ever going to use. So that just about does it for today's episode of the Blind Pinterest Challenge. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and let me know down in the comments which craft project was your favourite. I think my favourite has to be the little upcycled jars, mainly because they were so easy. They were ridiculously easy and I'm actually going to find these really helpful and useful. I'm hoping the little animals stay on top. That's the only thing I'm worried about. I don't think when I use these I'm going to actually twist from the animal. I think I'm still going to twist from the top because even though I've used super glue, it won't take a lot of force to rip them off. And I'll see you next week for a brand new video. You know what? This video went really well. If I had no proper disasters. Have you noticed that recently? I've been really good. I haven't had like any mega fails recently. I don't think I have anywhere. Am I even me? Has someone taken over? I don't know. Or am I just setting myself up for the worst failure you can ever imagine? Maybe am I just improving? Oh my god, I'm just improving.